was constantly configuring to what other people thought I was constantly configuring to what I thought they wanted me to be, and just like the pain and the heartbreak of that, of this is who I think you want me to be in order to be accepted into this group, into this friendship group, whatever it is. And I just remember how painful that was, of constantly managing my behaviors in order to be, in a group that I quite frankly didn't even want to be a part of. Do you know what I mean?
Can't be contained.
That's what I'm talking about. Dude, I am so happy that you're here. I was like feeling into us having this conversation. I'm like, this is going to be a wild ride. So buckle up, everyone. This is going to be a wild ride.
Put your seatbelt on. Funny enough, when I did, quote unquote, do THC one time in high school, it was the first class of the day. And I was so high that I got into my seat in the classroom and I went to put my seatbelt on. And it was like, oh, where am I? What's happening?
God.
Anyway.
Oh my God. Dude, okay, so a couple years ago when I was living with Angie, remember, right before I lived with you?
Yeah. At the Mermaid Mansion.
At the Mermaid Mansion. That was such a good house.
Wait, does anyone else name their houses?
I don't know. I've named every single house that I lived in, but Mandy, our friend, like, she's like, that is the dumbest thing. Why do you do that? I'm like, because it's fun.
Yeah, it personifies it. It's like a little buddy. It's like a little buddy and like a whole chapter. Okay, so when you lived with Angie.
But I will say on that note, our house, the Peace Pocket, like that was a cute name. And it really held that, like, because it was during COVID and it was during that time, that was like our safe haven and that was like our point of peace as the world was falling apart. So that was like, and you named that before COVID happened. So that was like kind of cool. I remember you texting me.
What's that called? Premonition?
Premonition. You got that. But back to doing the THC, I remember this girl on Instagram. She's like, hey, I just opened up this new CBD company. Can I send you some CBD? And I was like, yeah, sounds good. She's like, if you love it, like share it. I'm like, 100%. Like I can share some CBD, right? And so it came in the mail and it like came in this like beautiful package. And I was like, oh, I'll try this another day. So I just kind of like put it in the drawer. And then like 15 minutes before I was going to do a delivery event for one of my classes at the time, I'm like, I'm going to try one of those.
Delivery event?
When I do like the Life Mastermind or I'm training my breathwork facilitators or my somatic coaches. Like I was about to do that and like teach. I'm like, I'm going to throw back a couple of these CBD gummies. And CBD like doesn't really have an effect on me. Like I can do so much. My body's like, is that all you got? It doesn't really do the thing. So I like grab a bunch, pop them back, and I go upstairs. And then within 10 minutes, I'm just like, boom, boom, boom. And I got so high. I literally messaged one of my support mentors. I was like, Rochelle, I'm like, I ate something and I things are spinning. And I was
she's thinking like, oh no, food poisoning.
Yeah. I was like, I ate something and I feel really off, which was not a lie. It's exactly what happened. I remember just curling up in, those egg chairs that we used to have, just curling up in those little egg chairs.
Yeah. The Papasan? Yeah.
I was curled up in that for hours and just like, I'm like, make this stop. Because there was THC in it, obviously. That's the kicker of that story. I didn't realize that.
Right. Versus CBD without THC.
Yeah.
Whoa. I had a similar experience when I was hosting a meetup in Colorado. I had a headache and I was like, well, let me just CBD it. Yeah. And I didn't realize that could even happen if you keep taking more than it says. So
okay, I want to talk about something.
What is it, my dear?
When I think of people who can't be contained and when I think of people who live life on their own terms and just do whatever the fuck they want to do, that's you. Like you fit that avatar. And we became friends at such an interesting time in your life.
We did.
I know.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Well, we met in Hawaii, first off.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. That was such a fun trip. That was such a fun trip. And so that's where the love affair started. And it's progressed and continued and deepened ever since that day, which has been so amazing. It's so deep. But it was at a time period where you were one of the top raw vegan vloggers in the world and overnight became a carnivore.
I did that, didn't I?
Dude, I remember coming home one day and there was like, what was it? Like Fox News was like all up in our shit.
It was Good Morning America.
Oh, Good Morning America was like all up in our house. And then the internet went fucking mental. Like I hadn't seen anything like the amount of attention that drew. Have you recovered like somatically from that? Because I was watching the whole thing like this is fucking insane.
Well, funny enough, that healing session that I was just talking about where I processed the past life, that was in support of me really getting through this. So like I'm still doing the work behind the scenes and still getting support behind the scenes to process all of it still. I feel like the last few months there genuinely has been a corner that I've rounded, but for I don't even know how long it's been, like 4 years, 5 years at this point when I really made the switch.
I think it was 4 years.
Well, because I switched a year before.
We lived together. So maybe it was 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a whole thing.
I remember when you did this like super highly produced YouTube video of like, I'm a carnivore. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
And that was the video that like broke the internet. We'll link it in the show notes down here so people can check it out.
It's a fun one. It's interesting too because I made a video a year before that titled something like I'm no longer vegan. That was really where I really came out and shared, hey, like I've been going through this health stuff and I'm kind of at the end of my rope, willing to try anything so that I can feel and function properly again. And you know, definitely the internet, not the whole internet, but
Your
like
pocket of the
100,000 people couldn't handle that. And yeah, when we think of can't be contained, it's like I was doing my thing and eating in a way that supported me and the environment and the animals and all the things. And then things shifted. And I was willing to break out of that box for the sake of well-being and for the sake of optimal health. And it was the people who couldn't deal with that then were trying to contain and keep me in this. If this is how you were at one point, this is how you should always be. What? You changed your mind? You what? It doesn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a journey.
And even when your health depends on that decision, it's still, people still are projecting what they want you to be. You know, it's like, well, you have this massive platform. Well, first of all, why is the vegan community so intense?
I mean, it's standing for something. When we look at spiral dynamics, it's the green.
Right.
So it's like the environmentalists, people who are very passionate about something. When I made that transition, I didn't realize, I thought in the way that I accepted the hard decision that I was making for myself, that other people would do that too. So I had no idea what was coming my way. So that was kind of like a sad, intense part of it of like, oh, got it. Okay. So there are people who are living a vegan lifestyle who are actually not compassionate to humans. Got it.
Yeah, it almost seems like and I'm making a general, like an overstatement here, but it seems like with that community, there's almost like this value of an animal life over a human life. It's like, well, we can value the animal life and I'll treat this human like shit. And it's like, what would it look like to just be compassionate for all beings? You know, what does that look like?
That's what we're going for in our day-to-day now.
Dude, 100%. You know, it's like, I think there's something so beautiful about maintaining in connection with people despite having opposing beliefs.
Yeah.
And there's something so threatening to the unawakened mind about that. You know, like those people who are like, she doesn't believe what I believe, I need to villainize. Like the shit that people said about you. Does it, like... Do you feel nervous talking about this now?
On some level, yeah.
I can feel that a little bit still. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a shakiness in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it runs pretty deep. It's like, especially coming from, like, yes, I can't be contained. Yes, I'm wild in so many ways. Yes, I'm going to follow my truth.
And you're human.
And it's like coming from this, I don't know, like there's types of people out there who, if hate's coming their way or something's going down, like they like know how to, I don't know, they know how to verbally stand up for themselves or like tell other people to fuck off. That's an edge for me.
Right.
So to put someone who's like quite delicate, didn't know the intensity was coming, just following their truth into that, it's like, yeah, the impact runs deep.
100%. But it's been so beautiful to see you navigate that. One of the, I remember this one morning we woke up at the Peace Pocket, which was our old house. It just makes me smile. Like, that was such a beautiful time. And I was like, what are you doing today? And you're like, oh, I'm talking to one of the girls who's made a bunch of hate videos about me on the internet. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, to have that, like, you wanted to have a conversation with her to be like, hey, I want to understand where you're coming from. And I was like, whoa, like it takes a certain type of person to sit down with someone who's made multiple, not just one, multiple hate videos of you on the internet, a complete stranger, to try and get her perspective. Where does that come from?
It's like the purity in my heart. Yeah. I'm like, wait, I don't get it. Like, why can't we be friends? Or like, oh, you have a differing view here? Like, what is that like? So it's both the like purity and then also the like incredible curiosity. Yeah. Of like, wait, what are you viewing? Because my view has been very different.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how does that serve you in your life now?
Talking to people who made videos about me.
Just like that quality in general. Like, you have this like insatiable curiosity for humanity. And it's one of my favorite things about you. You know, it's like whenever I come to you and I have like a drama or I'm activated about something or whatever it is, it's like you are always so able to hold both experiences simultaneously without charge and with just pure curiosity and love. And I think that's a skill that like not many people have. You know, like I remember, and like my public canceling was like nowhere near what yours was. But during COVID, when I put up that meme about comparing
cookie, I remember it, cookie dough.
I thought it was so funny. I was like, what was it? It was like, COVID-19 is like eating raw cookie dough. We know the risks. Now just let us live our life. Like, it was something like that. But it's like, it was like in the thick of it. It probably, you know, with comedy, it's like timing's everything. Like, if it wasn't in the thick of it, it might have been not that. But I remember calling you and just being like, what the fuck? And I remember there was that part of my my expression where I'm like, I can't use my comedy. Like, like we've forgotten how to be funny. And I was pissed. And I came to you, I'm like, this is so fucking annoying that like we can't even laugh at like this thing, you know? And I remember you saying like, what would it be like if you created comedy that connected?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember saying that?
I remember that. Yeah. Cause I was like getting into the like, wait, what was it in this? Like the little like tiny point.
Yes.
Like what was it in this that actually created the trigger? And it was like, oh, well, you're pointing at something, but it's like the result of it was disconnect.
Yeah.
And then from there it was like, oh yeah, comedy can create more connection.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's funny because it's like 95% of people were like, that's hilarious. Let's have a laugh. But it's the 5% of people that are, of course, the loudest that were like, I'm going to shit on your doorstep. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God, please don't shit on my doorstep.
Said that. They're like, you are so insensitive. I'm going to shit on your doorstep. I'm like, what would that even be like? Good thing I've got cameras. I can like, joke's on you, bitch. I'm going to put that on the internet. People are so funny.
What's interesting is that in both of these scenarios, it was this very unique part of us, or a gift that we bring to the table. For you, your comedy. And for me, it was honoring my truth and being authentic and not trying to fake anything for the sake of, fitting into the role that I was in. And then that got poked.
It got poked. And I think this was like part of my inspiration for this show is like, can I stand in my truth unapologetically and speak unabashedly and just speak from like, because what I know to be true about myself is my come from is always love. Like I am never trying to make people feel like shit. I'm always desiring to build people up. So me knowing that, then I can be free to express what I see as truth and what I desire, and without the feeling of like, what are people going to think? And I didn't really have that in 2020. So when that happened, I was like, oh, fuck, like shit, like, it rocked me on such a cellular level. But what I learned through that is like, no, this is just part of my essence, is like comedy and fun and play. And I realized like I can actually hold a lot of duality. I can hold the pain of like us going through like an insane pandemic, and then I can also hold and this is kind of funny, And it's like, so now I'm resting in this deeper place in my body where like I know who I am and I know what I'm here to do, and I know where my energy comes from. And that feels like a new level of being unshakable.
Yeah. I feel that. Ultimately, that feels like where I've grown from the shit that I went through too.
Yeah.
And it just took me a while to get there, because I was like peeling back the layers of things that other people not only said one time, but like hundreds of people said multiple times of like just all the things. And it was almost like I knew who I was before all of that. That's why I made that choice, even though it was incredibly challenging. But that's why I made the choice to change my diet. I knew who I was. It was like no question that I was going to, try and like not share my truth online and try and pretend anything. And then it was like my view got clouded and there was like this like dirty mirror. And it was like other people's bleh on the mirror that I was then seeing of myself.
For sure.
And it was a bit disorienting. And then for years being like, wait, who am I? What am I? And then withdrawing and restricting and being contained by all of that.
Yeah.
And then pulling away and not sharing my voice and not expressing. So it's like, this is actually perfect timing podcast, because for years I was contained and I was in that trapped. And simultaneously, I was always true to myself. I was like feeling the depths of what it was like to be contained, which I believe is a part of my path here, is kind of dabbling in the extremes, not always intentionally. It kind of just happens to be that way. Like, oh, hardcore this and that and this.
Let's go walk what was that trail you
did? Let's go walk the Appalachian Trail. No hiking experience. Let's do it. Let's document it. It's like, okay.
You're so good.
And let's throw away all of our material items just for the sake of it, to see what it's like.
That thing of like not having garbage or something? Like you didn't produce any garbage?
I didn't do that one.
Oh,
but I did like not shaving for years, not using deodorant for years, not washing my hair for a month.
That's right.
We
still have yet to do the challenge that I'm actually really excited about.
Wait, what is it?
The no texting challenge. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like 30 days of not texting. I would love that, right, John? John like always hates on me because I'm such a bad texter.
No, but intentionally, like calling up Verizon or whoever.
Yeah.
And telling them, because this is a thing, we looked into it. They will actually turn off your texting.
That's right. You and I looked into this a couple years ago.
I feel like I'm in a more balanced place with texting.
Are you?
Do you feel like you could?
Okay, what's your perspective of how I am as a texter to you?
It just like is what it is. That's kind of my perspective. Like time will go by and then it's like capital, like random things. It's It's kind of belligerent. It's like quite all over the place now that I am thinking about it.
It's like, oh my God. I don't know. So many people recently have given me the feedback like, yo, you are the shittiest texter. I just don't enjoy it. I don't like to do things I don't enjoy. I like voice noting. I can voice note.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, going back to the power of the view, though, this is really fucking important.
What was I saying?
Well, how people were viewing you in a certain way, right? Do you remember that exercise that we did at our meditation retreat?
And do you remember what I did with it?
I can't remember.
So
wait, I wasn't in your group, was I?
No.
You were with Sunny. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But let's explain it.
Okay, you explain it.
Well, no, you explain it.
Okay. So it's like that awkward, like, wait, we're having a conversation, just us, but then we're referencing for all the beings who are tuning in. Okay, so there is this exercise. Well, first off, there was, I don't know, like 100 people in the room. So I'll share, like, there is first a demo where there's one person at the front of the room, and we're playing with the power of our view and the power of projection. And so, I don't know, let's say it was for like 60 seconds, we're all projecting like hate, disgust, that the person in the front of the room did the most horrible things. And we're doing it for the sake of learning, just for like 60 seconds. And this person up front, their whole body is configuring, and it's responding, it's matching the view that that everyone is projecting. And then we broke out into groups of 4. So it was like for a minute, 3 people would be projecting onto you, and they would project like not great things, and then like that you're the most incredible, loving being, powerful, beautiful, all the things, so that we could feel the difference. And what I asked of the people who were my partners for that was I actually asked them to share or to project the exact things that were like all of the shittiest comments that I got.
I literally have goosebumps right now.
Because for the sake of learning, I'm just like, what would this be like? I don't know. Yeah. I felt like there was some sort of importance in that. And it felt so oddly familiar, like in my whole body.
I do remember you sharing that with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
familiar, and like what else? It was familiar and...
I mean, like it froze me. Like I could feel myself configure into that, and there was a confusion. There was like a loss of connection with self. And so coming back to the like peeling the layers off and like reconnecting with the sovereignty and the power in me, that's like, no. I know who I am. I've always known who I am, but this just like contorted. Yeah.
Dude. Oh, so it's the power of the view is so insanely powerful. It's like when someone grows up in a family system and they're like, I gotta go do some work.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. And so they go off and they do their work and they evolve and they grow and they connect and they heal, and then they go back into the family system. And because the views of the family are projected onto that individual, it's so easy to configure back into an old past version of ourselves, because that is what is being reflected.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so wild. And so when you take that on a larger scale, 1 million people on YouTube, for instance, it's like that is so intense. And so I'm curious, like, it's like energetic configuration, right? Is what we're talking about. Like there's a projection of like, you are this, and then that system subconsciously that's how powerful we all are. It's like we're actually morphing and configuring to that view. And so what have been some of the things that you've done in order to maintain in your knowing and in your remembering, so you don't have that confusion, like, wait a second, am I this? Am I not this? You know, it's like 2020 when like everyone and their dog was racist. Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, you're racist. Yeah. It's like, it's like, whoa, wait a second.
And it's like, wait, am I? Or checking in with self. No, I'm not. This is what Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of things. And one of them was consciously taking a step back from social media in general. which like, I mean, and with all of this, with all of the things that I've practiced and done, like part of it was from the like, I literally had to because it was so traumatizing.
Yeah.
And then another part of it was conscious choice. I know that my soul, my whole being needs this right now in order to stay, to like do this thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of them, I mean, I took a year off of Instagram.
Yeah.
I stepped back from YouTube a lot. Like I stopped documenting every nook and cranny of my life. That was needed because every time I did, more videos were made about me, more messages came in, more viewpoints that were clouding my view. So it was like, oh, I can't breathe. I can't even like connect with my own voice and truth. And I needed to push it all away.
Mm-hmm.
That was helpful, especially taking the whole year off Instagram. There's actually a big difference between like slowing down how much for me I was consuming and sharing and then completely turning it off. Because I could connect with my raw, direct experience of life, of like making a matcha latte for my own enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like connecting with a friend, just the two of us, not needing to worry about like getting a time lapse or like then getting each other on our stories or something.
Right.
That was huge.
It was like you for you.
Mm-hmm. That was big.
What did you learn about yourself during that time?
I learned, like, I actually connected more deeply with my, like, very sweet viewpoint of life. And my, like, remember when we made the handbooks?
I was just going to say, that immediately popped in my mind.
It felt like that.
So, guys, we made these handbooks. And so it was me, Rachel Bell, Alyse, and
Heather came in.
Heather, right. And
activation vibration.
And we all have such different archetypes. And so yours was the sweet and pure?
Sweet and simple or something?
Sweet and simple, sweet and pure. And so Alyse like created an archetype of like, this is what it means to be this. I forget mine now.
Well, so it was like the
Fire
way
and something.
Yours was the playful
playmate.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Oh my gosh, so funny.
But it was like we wrote, I don't know, we wrote just like a whole page of what it was like to view reality and move through life from our unique essence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt like on the year without Instagram, not documenting, I connected so deeply with like the way that I really do view reality and move through life, which is like, it's like hard to put into words, but like, I don't know if
What's the sound? What's the sound of it?
It's like, it's like if there's a tree and I'm like on a walk or like on a drive, like, I don't know. I'm just like, oh, this little tree is so sweet.
And then if there's an old man.
I'm like, oh, this old man, so sweet. So sweet. Everything's so sweet. So I connected more with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more recently, I've just been circling around to how that's a gift for the world.
Absolutely.
And that's not everyone's baseline of how they view things.
Yeah. 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 It's so fascinating. I mean, you and I have had so many different conversations about the gift of social media and then the impact of social media. And I love how you put that, it's like we can decrease the amount that we share and scroll, but then when we eliminate it altogether, it just frees up, so much energy and so much connection.
Yeah.
And I think right now prioritizing our mental health over Instagram is like, it's like a key to our happiness of like, if I feel it pulling at me or if I feel like it is using me and I'm not using it, it's like, that's the moment where I'm like, no more, like get the fuck off of this app, like go do something that's actually going to fulfill you. But it's like, those things are designed to pull us away and disconnect us from our galactic nature. Beep, boop, bop, beep, boop, boop. Can you tell everyone how you are an actual alien fairy?
I mean, I don't know if I could put it into words. It's just, maybe it'll come out later. It'll pop out somehow. Here's a new thing on what you were just talking about. Luke showed me a video on social media the other day, but it was just one of those good ones where it like breaks you out, and it's like basically talking about how the apps are harvesting us and, you know, keeping our focus on the thing and the addictive quality. But there was something about, I don't know, the visual, the way that the whole video went, and the word harvesting that really stuck with me. And so for the last week or so since he showed me this, the word harvesting is like so active in my mind that it's actually helping me set boundaries. It's helping me catch as soon as it's tipping from consciously using this tool into unconsciously being used by the tool. And then it's like, oh, harvesting, I'm being harvested. I choose not to be harvested. And I like put it down.
What's that social experiment? What was that documentary?
Oh, The Social Dilemma.
There it is. And it's like, if you're not paying for the app, you're the product of the app. Like there was something like that. Like if you're not paying for it, like you're being used, right? So like Instagram, for instance, is like free, but it's like we are the product, you know? So like how do we preserve our life force? Because that's what that is, right? It's like every minute spent on Instagram scrolling, comparing your life to someone else, you are wasting your God-given life force and you're pouring it into something that's not giving you an ROI, right? It's like our life force is the greatest currency on the entire planet. And if we can preserve it and channel it into the things that are actually giving us an ROI, and I'm not talking just money, I'm talking energy, I'm talking love, connection, inspiration, like all of it. But it takes discipline, you know? And I think like, it's interesting, like growing up as a dancer and having to be so freaking disciplined every day, I learned the practice of discipline, you know? And now I use it with things like social media. Like how can I discipline my mind to really be mindful and catch myself when I'm going into those like weird places?
That's pretty cool that from such a challenging time, there's been this, it's like a diamond. It's like from that pressure, there's now this skill that you get to use that's like keeping you awake and aware through all of the things that can pull our attention.
Yeah, it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it feels like a constant choice in every moment. And I still find myself just like feeling really called to get away from it all.
What would you do? Like what would you do if you could do anything?
Well, I've been feeling into this recently, and it would be in Hawaii.
I was going to say, of course. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would be in Hawaii.
She would go back to where we first met.
Not the exact place. That was a cool house, though.
That was a cool house. That wasn't that you didn't love that island, though.
No, that's not my island.
What's your island?
The Big Island.
The Big Island's your island. I've never been there.
It's the most rural.
Is it the biggest?
Yeah. It's the biggest. It's way bigger than the others. It's the most rural. There's just like nothingness. You're just driving and it's just like nothing. It's just green. It's just rolling hills and space and like no freaking billboards or flashy things or like anything to grab your attention. It's wild. Every time I get there, I'm just like, I can breathe.
Yeah.
Like nothing's pulling at me.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we create our own version of that. If we're not all going to be in the middle of nowhere, how can we create that little bubble of spaciousness where nothing's grabbing our attention?
Again, going back to discipline, we live in a world now where it is so quick and there's demands on everything. There's demands on our time. There's demands on our energy. There's demands on our presence. Like there's demands on so many things. So for us to create that spaciousness, it is a discipline.
You know what I'm curious about?
Tell me what.
So, okay. Remember also when we were in the Peace Pocket?
Yeah.
And I said something to you about, do you know what I'm about to say?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm just testing our telepathy, that's all.
Wait, let me try. Okay, let me try. Okay, transmit the scene to me.
Well, let me give you a little more. We were in the living room, and I was sharing with you how I wanted this thing, and you were like, but you have this thing. Do you remember? That's okay. I'll just go into it.
Okay. Clearly, I am not psychic.
Okay. So so I was sharing like, oh man, I would really love to have this uplifting energy that you have, like so much energy. You walk into the room and it's just like, blah, it's a party. Everything's so fun. And like, I feel more charged up when you're in the room. And your response was so healing for me because it was pointing back to my uniqueness. And you shared something along the lines of, well, Alyse, when I walk in the room with you, like I feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Like I can slow down. I can take a breath. It's like you're taking a breath right now.
Literally, that's exactly how I feel.
So I'm curious for you as someone who naturally has, I don't know if I would say more energy, but like you have a different frequency than me. Like where we rest naturally is just a different flavor.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like for you in bringing in, like, what is your own pacing? And like connecting with that, operating from that, that's different from societal norms and pacing.
This is such a good question. And I feel like I had contrast the other day because I did Sarah Set brain treatment.
You did?
I did. It's wild. It's wild. I mean, okay, so the first day I did it, I felt like what most of the world feels like, I guess. I was just like so slow, so chill.
This is so funny because I also did Sarah Set.
I know.
So, okay, keep going. This is so intriguing.
I was just so freaking chill. Like, I remember I went for a walk with Jenny and I was like, what are those things called again? Oh, flowers? Like my brain was just I was like, is this the pacing at which most of the world flows at? It's so wild. So anyways, to answer your question, I love my energy. I love that I think Rome was built in a day. I love the fire. I love the power. And I have to be mindful because it can burn me out sometimes. And it can burn out people around me, especially my team members, where I'm like, why is this not done 5 minutes ago? They're like, it's going to take all quarter. I'm like, well, I'll do it in 5 minutes, you know? And so it's this interesting balance, and patience is what I get to learn in this life, having this ecstatic energy. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It is what fuels everything and creates everything. And you know, even this podcast, it's like we're doing this, boom, and then I'm like, and all the pieces just came together, and it's like I love that.
Yeah,
but the pace, it's interesting because the reflection that I get from, you know, our friendship group, right? It's like I'm quick and I'm this and I'm this and I'm fast and I'm up, and I'm like, really? Not everyone's like this? Anyway, it's just interesting to like relate to the world as like a very energetic person.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, my experience of you though is there's a different there's a different energy in you that you're moving through the world and creating from than like when we feel into society and where society's operating from, where it's like fast paced, maybe not necessarily as aware of what they're moving through in the moment. I don't know. For you, it feels like, there's like a high I'm thinking of like a hummingbird, like hummingbird wings.
Yes.
But it's like so clean and crisp and pure.
Yes.
And on a mission.
Yeah.
Versus like just going through the motions fast.
Thank you for that reflection. I feel that. And I feel that more so now than I have ever. You know, there's a precision and an intention. And there's this feeling of like, I just had Raina in here doing an interview, and I don't know if this interview is going to come out before that one or after that one, but we touched on this piece of like, when I go into soul essence, right? It's like when I tap into the depths of my soul and I feel the energy of that, and I feel the possibility for humanity of like what's actually possible for all of us. It feels so real. It's like, of course, that's the way we get to be. We get to collaborate. We get to connect. We get to love. We get to support each other. We get to thrive together. And so I think a part of that like hummingbird precision, like let's fucking go, is I'm like, I want to do my part in like closing the gap between what I know in my beingness from past lives is possible and where we're currently at. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It feels like beyond, like it feels, it's not a business. I'm not like, oh, let's go fast so we can have better profits. The pacing is not capitalistic. The pacing is mission, you know?
You know, it's so fucking crazy.
Tell me.
This has been the same theme that I've been theming in my life. The same theme I've been experiencing, which is, it's like getting out of the specific way of doing things, which, I mean, we've been out of to a big degree for a long time, but it's like to the next level. You're talking about your soul essence. And I've been feeling into this remembrance of exactly what you're sharing, but it's like this different flavor of what's possible, of where we can rest in connection together and how the world can operate. And what's interesting is that for me, it's complete stillness. Like when I go to this place of what the world can be, what humanity can be, what our connection with Earth. It's like simple. It's slow. It's pure. It's easy. There's harmony. There's this.
Yeah.
It's like, and it just gets so quiet. And that's a unique puzzle piece that I'm bringing. And then there's the unique puzzle piece that you're bringing. I've never thought of you like a hummingbird before, but in this conversation, it is hummingbird.
I love hummingbirds.
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah. And everyone's puzzle piece, this is so good. Everyone's puzzle piece has such uniqueness. You know, like Amy Scott and Eric Muller, they have the earthy puzzle piece, you know, where when I'm sitting with Amy, she has this like, vroom, you know? And I'm like, oh, that's your contribution to this puzzle piece, you know?
Yeah.
And honoring our puzzle pieces and honoring what we are. It's like that is the greatest contribution. It's like being fully who we are. And this is where social media gets us all fucked up. It's because we can look at someone online and going, oh, well, I perceive them, because we never know what's going on. It's all smoke and mirrors on social media, right? But I perceive that they are successful. I perceive that they are making money. I perceive that they're influential. And this is their archetype. So how can I morph into being more like that so that I can get all of the things that I think it's so dangerous, right? Versus how can I be more of exactly who I am?
Right. And how does that interface with the platforms? How does that link up beautifully with the tools to bring that puzzle piece through to more people?
Right.
To touch more people, to connect with more people.
Right. Well, I don't think my puzzle piece it translates on Instagram. And you know, like I've had this like a love-hate relationship with Instagram since the beginning of time. I remember April 2021, I was down in Colombia. Did we live together then? Or was I living with Eric at that point?
With Eric, I think.
I was with Eric. And we did ayahuasca. And I remember this one moment where she showed me, so wild, I have goosebumps sharing the story because this part of this is a manifestation of that moment. Oof. Shit. She showed me like the color and the bigness of my transmission and what I'm here to bring. And then she's like, and you're trying to shove it all through this tiny app in like bite size. At that point, there was only 15-second stories, right? The 15-second story.
Way back in the day.
Way back in the day. And she's like, you are literally squishing your creativity. And the message that you're trying to get out into the world is not being heard because there's so much noise this is so full circle that I'm telling the story now, but there's so much noise on Instagram. So people are receiving your transmission when they're in a trauma response and they're in a sympathetic state. So what you're really trying to communicate is really not doing much on Instagram. She's like, go long form content. Right? Go podcast, do long form YouTube. You and I have talked about this many times. Build a documentary, put on a live show, do live events. Like, let your artistry and your transmissions come through on things that are more flexible and that you own. That's the other thing I love about having a podcast. It's like Instagram can shut me down tomorrow. With this, I can say whatever the fuck I want. I can do whatever the fuck I want, and I own the entire thing. It's wild. Anyway.
I just thought about you flashing the camera.
I can do what I want. I would, but I'm wearing like nipple covers and they look like you have no nipples. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't flash. I would, but
I can't because
I'm wearing these nipple covers and then I like take my shirt off and Eric's there. He's like, oh, because it literally looks like you have no nipples.
He's confused.
It's like it looks like chicken fillets.
Man, I can feel everyone tuning in cringing. I can feel the collective cringe.
You can feel people's buttholes going, people's sphincters. Tighten your sphincter. Oh my God.
Man. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
God.
So we're all on this journey.
What was some of the dumb shit that I did when I lived with you?
You would walk. I mean, you didn't do anything dumb, first of all. Wait, I was just about to share something, and that would have been me confirming that you've done dumb things. There was nothing dumb. You would walk through the kitchen holding your mug or whatever that you're about to fill up, and you're like, gravity. Da, 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 da. I don't know. You were actually great singing, and you would like pirouette through the kitchen.
I still do that all day long. I just sing all day long. But like, you know this, I have one song a week.
or like, yeah, 2-3 songs forever.
And then I just keep rotating and keep circulating through the other one that like annoyed Rachel so much was Good Morning Baltimore.
I like that one.
Like an open door.
I like all of them. I mean, my songs are. Do you want to know?
Oh my God. I can't. The other day, a couple months ago, we were like driving in Colorado somewhere, and you're like, oh my God, I got the best song for you. And you put on the actual worst song I've ever heard in my fucking life. Do you remember what song that was? It was like beep boop, beep boop, boop. And it went on for like 7 minutes. You're like, you got to hear this song. I was like, this is actually terrible. I questioned your sanity.
That was like the alien one.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Never make me do that again.
It's like that awkward moment when you
Were you joking? Was that a joke?
I was serious. That's why it's like the awkward moment where you're really into something and then you play it and you can feel like everyone in the room is just like, oh God. Anyway, sometimes I sing the Oompa Loompa song when I'm happy. Doompa-dee-doo. Anyway, so how do you feel that this podcast is going? Not sorry, wait. not this episode. I mean like in general.
You know, I've never felt happier. I'm not even saying that. I'm actually serious. I've never been happier. Sounds so dumb, but it's so true. Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just love it. I love everything about it. You know what's funny though? Like, do I sound like I'm being sarcastic?
No.
Okay, good, because I'm being serious. You know what's crazy? Like, how many conversations that you and I have had over our decades of being friends. It's only been like 7 years, but there's been so many times when we're having a conversation, we're like, I just wish this was recorded because it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like when we lived together and it'd be like late night after dinner, we'd have the candles going, we'd be playing music.
Nights, candles going, we got the jazz playing.
It was so romantic. And I was like, man, I just wish what we were talking about right now was recorded because it's so good, right? Or like after we do our meditation retreat and we're just like back in our room and we're so tired, but we're just like so charged on energy and we're just talking about the wonders of the world and we're just having these sorts of conversations. I'm like, this is the level of value that I want to give, you know?
This is important too, because I listened to one of the other episodes that you already released and I just felt this like exhale of it's just such a gift to be able to hear more conversations like these things that I don't know, on a lot of podcasts or in a lot of places, it is contained and it shouldn't be outside of this box of what's shared. And it actually feels important for collective awakening to have more access to things that are out of the box, things that we would just talk about with the person that we're closest to.
Yeah.
It feels important.
I agree with you.
Because then it's doing the mirroring thing.
Yeah.
It's this reflection of like, oh, this is happening. Because I can feel like energetically where things are going collectively.
Yeah.
But it's different when, to be able to like hear different stories.
It's so good.
And things.
Like, I love having this show as like a way where, you know, like, okay, let's go back to the power of the view for a second. Because I want to talk about the other side of it too, where we can do power of the view in our soul essence.
Yep.
And guys, this is so powerful. So we did the power of the view where Alyse was explaining how she got her 3 people to like project onto her all of your haters on YouTube. And like you got to feel how familiar yet terrible that was. But then there was a big moment for you that was healing. But then what happened after that?
Yeah, then they were viewing, I mean, in that example, they were viewing like love, like angel, perfection, just care, like love for another human being. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're perfect. But what you're pointing to is rallying the troops, getting these clean, clear mirrors to reflect the uniqueness that we're bringing.
Yeah, that's it. And I think we need that. Like that's oxygen for our nervous systems. When someone who has a clear view of us can reflect our essence to us, that's such a beautiful gift, you know? And so for people listening, like Alyse said, rally the troops. Find some people who are like, that person really sees me. Who do you think really sees you? That old man who gave you those crystals?
He did. He saw me more than literally. Not going to think of him. But yes, he saw me more than anyone has ever seen me. That was so wild.
I remember we were like about to catch a flight. And I was like, do you remember?
I was waiting like 30 minutes to get his email address written on the back.
I was like, Alyse, we're going to miss our flight. You're like, I just need to wait for this old man.
Yeah.
Okay, so him?
I mean, him for sure. It feels like it comes in different ways.
Yeah.
Like some people share verbal reflections with me that I feel like like they're able to put into words who I am, what I bring, what I offer. And then sometimes it's people that I connect with that I just feel fully myself with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember growing up in high school, middle school. This is probably like middle school. Oh God, I can't remember. No, high school. I can't remember. Whatever. I was growing up at some point in my life. And I was constantly configuring to what other people thought I was constantly configuring to what I thought they wanted me to be, you know, and just like the pain and the heartbreak of that, of this is who I think you want me to be in order to be accepted into this group, into this friendship group, whatever it is. And I just remember how painful that was, of constantly managing my behaviors in order to be, you know, in a group that I quite frankly didn't even want to be a part of. Do you know what I mean? And just the freedom that comes from just this self-permission of just giving myself full permission to just fully be who I am. And what I'm learning through that process is the more uncontained, the more accepting I am of me, the more I just let my freak flag fly, the more I just do that, there's just this like ease. And I find life just works so much easier. Like opportunities come that I wouldn't ever, they're like, oh, we saw this, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I was just being myself then.
Totally.
And like, oh, you want me to come speak there and do this? And I got hired. You were just viewing me just being my weird old self, And so, yeah, it's truly about like the permissioning of all of our pieces and all of our parts, knowing that we are so lovable no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I've been noticing more and more. And it's like intentionally directing awareness to when those things happen. Like, oh, I've been completely myself. And then look at this that unfolded.
Yes.
Look at this opportunity. And then this over here. And orienting to that. Like, oh, look at how this happens.
Yeah.
To circle back to your question of who do I feel really sees me? I realize I'm like very much in this chapter of seeing myself.
Oh, I
like
love that.
Coming back from everything that I've been through, coming out the other end, and really having this time of connecting intimately and viewing myself, getting to feel the essence of me.
Yes.
Because I went through this time where I actually felt like I didn't have a clear reflection of who I was because I was withdrawn.
Yeah.
I was confused myself. And it was like almost like everything extracted out of me, and others couldn't even find me. And now I'm in this, connecting back with my essence. And then I'm noticing opportunities to be on this podcast, beautiful conversations with friends, and people are seeing me more.
Yeah.
And it's like this both simultaneously. Like I'm viewing myself, noticing myself, my own gifts. And then I'm also noticing when there's these healthy reflections.
Oh, I love that so much. And that's the most important place to start is this self-acknowledgement, this self-reflection. Can I really double down on me? And it's interesting. I'm going through this like really weird time right now where like I've been building businesses for ever. It's been like 14 years now. And what I'm realizing so deeply now is my truest essence is a creator, is a visionary, is actually not worrying about numbers and building a business. Because I know that there's so many people who can do that way better than me. I'm probably bottlenecking my company I'm definitely bottlenecking my company right now. Like I could put someone else in charge and like whatever, right? And so the process that I'm in right now is acknowledging that my truest gifts are not actually in business. And it's about honoring and accepting and recognizing like, no, Sam, this is where you shine. And how can you just do more of that? But what's interesting is like, because it's my soul essence, because it's my gift, because it's second nature, it's so easy for me. Like there's this part of my brain's like, but is that as valuable as this? Because look at how good you are at growing companies. Like look at what you've done. Look at your track record. Like if you go all into doing this thing, it's been like such an interesting process for me as Pause grows, It's like my vision for it is, waking the world up through the power of breath work, and not like we're doing it on a small scale now. People look at us and they're like, you're one of the biggest breathwork companies in the world. I'm like, yeah, but we're just getting started.
Until the whole world is breathing. I will not stop. I cannot be contained.
But kind of. I'm like, no. Yeah, maybe the spiritual development people know about breathwork, but what about the thousands of people in corporate America who have no idea that they have infinite potential locked in their bodies? Like, we gotta wake them the fuck up through breath work, So it's like my vision for it is so beyond where we're at right now. And for us to get there, it really is about me surrendering what I'm good at to really settle in and give myself full permission to do what I'm great at.
Wow, that was so well said.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
This is so good, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We put it in there.
Thank you.
Very good.
This is when Alyse and I go away for meditation retreats. We always travel together. It's so fun. It's like my favorite thing. We travel together.
You're my travel buddy.
And then I wake up in the morning and there's electrolytes on my pillow. So the electrolyte fairy comes and gives me electrolytes. Do you want to hear a funny story about electrolytes? So the other day I filled up this massive jug of water and then I poured electrolytes in it and I was like, I'm going to drink that like tomorrow or whatever. And then my ADD brain like forgot that I did that. So I took the electrolytes and I dumped them in my plant and it grew. It looks so amazing.
No way.
I swear to God, you got to come over and check out my money tree. It is thriving.
That's where the plant comes in. I knew that it was actually going to come in at a perfect time. This is where the plant comes in.
This is my plant that I can't kill. This is Romeo. He's an aloe plant, and
look at his little smile.
He's so cute, right? He's Romeo the aloe. And he's, no matter what I do or no matter how much I neglect him, he'll never die.
Because he is made of fluff.
Because he is made of pure fluff.
Wow. Okay. So,
So anyways,
should I try that?
I think you should. Because if you look at my plants, they're living their best
life. Have you replicated this? Or is just
no,
that one
this
time?
I did not split test it. This is just a one and done.
Okay.
So I can't, it's not repeatable results.
Okay. I will ask for consent with all the plants in my home.
Please do.
And maybe one of them will be open to trying it.
And none of this bullshit electrolytes, like you got to get like top shelf electrolytes, okay?
Yeah, no sugar.
No sugar.
No
None of that
artificial.
stuff. No Gatorade. Not like no. Gatorade.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh, so good. Dude, I'm so happy that we did this.
Do you want to hear my alien thing?
Yeah.
So this there's this alien part of me that I don't know, there's something like so uncomfortable about human interactions.
It reminds me like whenever you come over and you see Eric, like you immediately get shy.
Yeah, but it's like it doesn't actually, I don't know, it doesn't feel like shy. It does not feel like social anxiety. It does not feel like that. It's like in a different classification that's like alien coming to interact on Earth. And it's just, I don't know, even like this podcast, I'm doing the human thing. We're like talking about things is like good conversation. But then there's also this part of me that's like different.
What is it?
I don't know. It feels like it just wants to like sit here and like be present with you, with everyone who's listening.
Let's do it. Like, let's not talk for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Eyes open or eyes closed?
Eyes open.
Okay. It says eyes open? Okay, good. Eyes are open. Okay, let's do it.
Romeo. Okay, it feels complete.
Dude, it's so interesting. Like when you drop the vocal connection, it's almost like the other streams of connection intensify.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like as soon as I was like, okay, we're not connecting through words, we're connecting through energy. I felt your energetic body like, vroom, and it was like configured. It was like, whoa, there's something new here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wild.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like the spirit and the human. It's like the spirit and the human are constantly here, but it's like, which one are we amplifying?
Mm. Yeah. Or like, where do they come together? And then it's like a dial too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've talked about this before. You can like dial more to human and like kind of drop all of these spiritual practices and all of that. Or you can dial it up and like literally
like when we're doing our meditation retreats and we're like in it for 4 days, my human is so dropped. Like not dropped as in like I'm not paying attention, like but it's like there's such a dissolving of the structures of the ego and there's such an amplification of my soul and of my
pure awareness.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. And so it's like my practice is like the amalgamation of both, you know? And so one thing that I'm like learning with that is in order to have both is letting them have communication. Like, what does my human want to communicate to my soul? What does my soul want to communicate to my human? And having that like dialogue.
Yeah.
You know? Because there's some times where my soul is like, hey, you don't have to try so hard in that. Like, I got it. And then there's times where my human's like, do you got this? Like, I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little like, okay, so last night, Eric's not home right now. And you know what? I'm like, home alone. I'm so much better though. Like, oh my God. Like, I text Eric this morning. I was like, being home alone's so amazing.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm so much better. Therapy is working. My therapist, Debbie, is like. Debbie. She needs an upgrade.
Wait,
she needs a raise.
You have Debbie and Lisa.
I have Debbie and Lisa. Lisa's my couples therapist that I go to with Eric. Debbie's like my therapist. She's like my girl.
Cool.
And then I have like I got a whole fucking board of directors to like sort my shit out, you know?
Yep.
But Debbie and I have been working on doing some like EMDr stuff around like being alone and being at home and all of that kind of stuff. And so and I'm so much better. Like I used to be like so terrified of being at home by myself at night. Last night, there was like a little glimmer of my human being like, what if someone breaks in? Right. And then right away, my soul was like, I got you. Everything's great. And then there was like this golden light that like showered my house. And it just like my whole nervous system was like, we're so good. And then I just like went to bed. But it's just so interesting to have that connection between soul and human, you know? Yeah. Like dude, we got to wrap this baby up.
I know. I've been a couple of times. I'm like, I wonder what time it is. We're just flowing.
John gave me the wrap this shit up like quite a while ago.
Oh, shit. Sorry, our shit's not wrapped, John.
Sorry, my shit is not wrapped in a pretty little bow. God, this has been so good. How do you feel?
I feel nervous and excited.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm so happy you're here. I love having conversations with you, and I love everything that you are and everything that you bring and the value that you bring to the world. And I'm so pumped to see this next evolution of you. Like you said something in the show where you're like, I feel like I'm turning a corner, and I'm like, really, like, I know what the fuck is possible when you're in that space. And I'm just so excited to see what you evolve, like what you create from that energy. Because I know it's going to be
top notch, my friend. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel it brewing. It feels so good.
Brewing like matcha. Not coffee, because you don't drink coffee, so it's brewing.
Of course, matcha.
Of course.
I thought you said nachos. Yeah, matcha. Okay. Thank you for having me. This has been fun. Can't fucking contain us.
We can't contain us. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're feeling really juicy today, it would mean the world if we got a review wherever you listen to this podcast. I love you forever and always. Goodbye.